Hola todos, soy la fashionista Raché Chanel, and you're watching Old Face Wrestling. Smooches!
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today on O Face Wrestling. Brianna and myself are joined by Raché Chanel today. So how are you doing today, Raché?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
You're
No
welcome.
problem at all. I had your former tag team partner Flex Rated on the show
I
months
know.
ago, and I've been wanting to have you on the show since then. So
Yes.
it's been a long time coming. So I'm really excited to do this today.
Thanks.
Exciting.
So Brianna, did you want to start with the first question?
Uh, I don't know. I feel like we have, all the time we do our podcast and we speak with wrestlers, we always start with the age old, how'd you get into wrestling? And I know that was one of your questions. So I'm
Yes.
going to let you go first. Or unless you want to answer the question, you let us know, like, how you got into wrestling. How's your experience been so far?
Well, I started wrestling in 2008. That's when I first started training. And so, it's been a long journey for me, but I'm still doing it. So I've basically been based in the Texas area, wrestling locally in Houston and in Dallas. So it's been a great experience so far.
Gotcha. Makes sense. I'm glad you enjoy it. We enjoy watching you.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
I try to have fun.
That's
So
what it's all about.
I have to ask, where in Texas have you trained at?
I've trained at Booker T's Reality Wrestling. I trained at DFW All Pro in Dallas, in Humble, Texas All Star Wrestling. Those are the main places. Yeah.
Okay, so I saw a picture. When I interviewed Danny B on the show, she had sent me like a little group photo, and I believe you were in that photo, with Ember Moon. Is that, or is that someone else?
Yeah, maybe so. I might have to, check into it, but I'm pretty sure that was me.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, because I was look that photo came up, and I was like, hold up, that looks like Roche. But
Yeah, that's her.
so how? So tell me a little bit about training with Booker T, because I've heard nothing but good things about training, with him. So I just want to hear your point of view, just, working with him.
I would say you kind of have to have an open mind, working with Booker because like you may come in, have your own idea, but like he may give you feedback or criticism, and either you can kind of take it or you can kind of be like, "Wow, I'm just going to do my own thing." So it's more of a learning experience, I would say. But he's, just it's just an experience that you have to have, for yourself. I can't really speak for other people, but that's just my own experience.
Yeah, he seems like someone who, from what I've heard, just really cares about growing, the his students. Like it's not one of
Yeah.
those like I want to collect your paycheck, and I can make my money. It's like I really want to develop and help these people out. Like he breaks everything down and really shows you every little thing and every little move that someone does and explains it, and he's so detailed. And I'm like thinking like that's really cool because you need teachers like that. Like because I've heard a lot of shady stories too about schools, they just want your money, and they want to keep you there as long as possible,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I mean, with him, it doesn't seem to be like that, which is really cool. Seems like a really good guy and all. And I mean, yeah, like being able to be based in Texas and be able to learn from someone like him is great because not everyone could travel too. Like travel to different schools. So having such a good school and a teacher there in Texas, I think that's really great.
Yeah. Also, it's like the students at his school, they're very hungry, I would say. Like they go to the gym, they're putting in extra hours. So kind of like Booker, his mindset kind of reflects back on the students as well because they're the ones who are putting the hours in, making sure that they look good for reality wrestling as well.
Yeah, because I mean, I feel like you need to give yourself that image because if you don't, who's going to want to train with you? Who's going to want to pay you to teach them? You know what I mean? So it's always good that, to just be looked at so highly among people so you can, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it, but think you know where I'm going with that, but yeah. So
Yeah.
Brianna, do you want
No,
to?
that makes sense. Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I feel like you've come a long way considering now that we see you on AEW Dark, and and honestly, I don't hear a single bad thing. Like, people love you and love your in character, persona, and you've actually fought now against our now AEW champ and our former AEW champ, Nyla, and then now is Sheeta. So I was very interested to hear, kind of what your experience was like, being in the ring with both ladies, and how is it the same? Were there any differences? I guess I'd be interested to hear about that experiences.
Well, the thing is, like, I didn't really think I would be going against Sheeta or Nyla. Like, I'm like all dark or anything like that. So I was kind of shocked when I saw my name on the production board. Like, I'm going against Sheeta. I'm like, really? Is this really happening?
That's big.
But it really was it was a good experience for in the Sheeta situation. I think there was more, I really didn't know what to expect, but Cody told me that he just wanted me to work my character. And so, character, like, I got you. And so that's when I did the comb spot with Sheeta on the ropes with the comb. So that was, I was like, well,
awesome.
That's something I can do as far as like working my character. With Nyla, with the size difference, it was more, showing her power, and me just, if I can get something in, I'm coming in with that big face wash. Like, I'm coming in with that knee to like foot to the face. So that's what I came in with for that match.
That's so cool, considering that both of them, like, they don't just put like anybody against those two.
Right.
I mean,
That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, hold up. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, they're just lucky to that, thinking, being in your shoes of just like getting a phone call like, hey, you're gonna go up against Sheeta tonight, and you're just like, hold on, what? And then you're all against Nyla, like, double what?
They do that.
Yeah, it's like I know there's some people on the roster who still haven't gone up against those two. So,
right.
Definitely see some potential, some stuff coming out of there. I hope we can continue to see you in AEW, Dark, and then beyond, maybe on Dynamite, and in the new video game. So,
Hold up, AEW's having a video game?
Yeah, they just released the.
I had no idea. That shows how out of tune in the video game world I am.
Yep, they did their announcement 2 days ago.
Oh, I might have to buy that.
Yeah, you just look at the trailer. Looks pretty cool. Like, I that would definitely be something I would buy. But yeah, on to your question, JC.
Okay, so now going back to AEW Dark, how did you get that opportunity to even wrestle for AEW?
Oh, great question.
Man, I'm thankful for the opportunity, because like, it's by the grace of God. Like, I got in contact with the talent agent person, so I got in contact with him, and thankfully, he responded to the message, and I was able to make that debut. So I'm truly thankful that I got the opportunity to work for AEW.
Awesome.
So
sorry, you go ahead.
I was saying, so tell me about the experience for wrestling with AEW, because obviously it's, being filmed and all that's a little bit different than the indies. So just kind of tell me about like the process and everything that you had to go through to work with them.
Well, like I said, working at Booker's Reality Wrestling, you do get TV experience. So I kind of have, during my, over 10-year span, like, just having that TV experience and having the confidence that, I can work a TV show. So just believing in myself, that kind of helped. As long as I know the hard cam, I know different angles, things like that. So it's also just having a good attitude going into, being backstage and being friendly and being professional. So that also is all in one, encompassing. You have to have the mindset, everything, just being prepared, I would say.
Yeah, and we hear that a lot though from like different wrestlers, and we ask them like, how'd you how do you get into it, but also like how is it backstage, and how do you kind of work your way up? It's like the biggest, I think the most we hear, JT, is like having a good attitude and being nice and polite backstage and being good to work with has been like 80% of that of the job. It's just like 80% of that effort is just being a decent person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because first of all, like if you have a bad attitude, I'm pretty sure you won't be coming back. So
that's what I was saying.
So if like the locker room doesn't like you, then you can just forget it, So
yeah,
you don't want to at least have that knock against you already going into being an extra talent.
Because I was literally just recording with Robin Reed last night, and because she's head of creative with Mission Pro Wrestling, and I was asking her like, what kind of stuff do you look for when it comes to recruiting people to your promotion? And she had mentioned, like your attitude, your reputation, stuff like that, because you don't want like toxicity in that locker room, because then it just causes tension and it just makes it hard to put on a good show. Because she was explaining like there was nothing but good vibes backstage for the Tournament Out of Hell event, and everything just flowed so well, and it was such a fun show because everyone got along, everyone worked well with each other, and that's kind of what you need. And not even in the best way to kind of the best examples, like at your work environment, like regardless of where you work, if you have people not getting along and just gossiping about each other and all that, it makes the work environment so hard to work in. And so you have to kind of translate that to the locker room for wrestling, and it's the same way. It's the same thing, just a different kind of environment.
Yeah, that is your workspace.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I was gonna kind of steer the direction of the conversation in a different place of kind of understanding more about you outside of the ring, but was I know you very much into fashion. And so I think for both me and JT, we were just kind of like, what got you into fashion, and what's your favorite part about it, what's your least favorite part about it, just learning more about Raché.
Yes. Well, mostly like my character is based off of like Whitney Houston off of Bodyguard and Regine off of Living Single. So I kind of merged those two and just kind of evolved into my own character.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really into fashion, but it's more so of my persona that I want to present to the fans. But I'm big into the wigs as well. So I have different wigs.
You named
that I'm wearing one as well.
Yeah, if you go
I have fun wearing them.
Yeah, I mean that's no problem. I know that when I was looking at your Instagram a couple days ago, I was seeing that you like had pictures of them and you like were naming them. I thought that was really cute that you gave them names. Yeah, because I would do the same thing. I guess that's the best way to keep track of them.
I know. Well, my persona, I'm the woman of 1,000 wigs.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Estelle.
Okay.
This is Blondie. This is London. London hasn't been seen yet, but she'll be on TV soon.
Oh, I'm excited then.
So
that's pretty cool. Jay-Z, you have any questions or comments?
Well, yeah, I mean, I really can't relate to that part because I really don't even have hair, but but yeah, like I hear all the time a lot of wrestlers, they base their character off of themselves, just like times like 100. So I mean that makes sense. You are really in the fashion, so why not portray that character on the screen? Just up it up a little bit. So I think that's cool. I would do the same thing if I were a wrestler. I'd probably be like a gamer, just little intense, like maybe kind of like TJP, what he used to do in WWE or something like that. But it has to be you because if you're trying to force a character on yourself that's not you, it's going to translate to the fans, and they're not going to.
They can see through that.
Exactly.
Yeah, the fans can see through.
So when wrestlers like you can tell that you're really into your character and your persona because of how well you portray it, and it makes it fun. Even if it's something that a fan can't really relate to, it still is fun, just because you can see they're having fun. And that's what we, fans want. We want to be entertained. We want to have fun watching the product. And, every time I see you come out in your entrance, I get excited because I just see how excited you are. And I love your theme song, by the way. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's very energetic and it just makes me just want to dance. And I'm not good at dancing, so you're not going to see that on camera. But so, Brianna, did you ask the last question or was it me?
I asked the last one.
You asked the last one? Okay. So now my question for you. So what about yourself that, fans don't know about that you would want them to know about you?
It's a good question.
See, what do I want to share?
Exactly. That's why I said that you would want fans to know about you.
Well, I listen to a lot of motivational speakers. Like Eric Thomas, E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher, Terry Savelle Foy. So I like listening to motivational speakers.
Interesting.
I mean, me personally, I like to read positive quotes. Anyone who follows me on my personal Twitter, I like to make it a thing that at least every day I like to find the positive or motivational quote to post because it makes me feel good about myself when I read, a quote, and I feel like, maybe I could help out other people too. But I get where you're coming from. You like to, listen to motivational speakers and it kind of helps motivate you, positivity, all that kind of stuff. So I think that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Given that, any type of positive affirmation is really good for your mental health. So I know that, doing something like wrestling that can be very taxing on both your body, but also your mind. And, the more that you can, believe in yourself, self-care in the sense of, mental perspective of just, yes, you can do this. I think there is very much benefit from doing that. So, and I see JT's tweets, so they can be very helpful. It's very, very you can do it. Don't feed into the negativity. And I'm just like, you know what, JT, you're right. I'm not finna feed into the negativity today.
Because we all know you see a lot of that on Twitter, so I try to kind of filter some of that out with, some of the positive tweets.
Nah, you ain't lying.
You have to avoid toxicity, not just in the locker room, but in your personal life. Just avoid toxicity.
All of it.
Exactly. It's hard to avoid, but we try our best.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to remove yourself from it. Even when I stop, being on Facebook, I feel 10 times better. Just being able to kind of know that stuff is out there and just be like, you know what, I don't have to do that today. It's that's how you do it. But anywho's, in terms of if you got back into wrestling, do you have a favorite wrestling move that you like to perform in the ring?
I like doing when I was at AEW when I had the match with Nyla. She was in the corner and I came back with the face wash. And so my foot the boot actually hit the camera. And so boot to camera type thing. So I think that was a pretty fun move that I like doing.
It's awesome. I think everyone has their favorite little thing that they like to do in the ring, and you can definitely tell when it's they're in their element. And they're like, oh yes, I get to do my move. Yeah.
But things you can't do everybody's move. Moves I can do on the indies. I do the code breaker. I do a variation of a V trigger, but I can't do that at AEW. So I just find what I can do and work with it.
Well, it should get you to be creative, and you can come up with new things. I mean, that's something that a lot of people fail to realize that people fans like to see is what is your significant special move that only you have, and it's everyone's is different, so it makes it really fun to watch people in the ring when they're not doing the same things that 10 other people are doing. So makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how creative a lot of wrestlers are getting nowadays because I feel it's hard to create something new move wise because they're everything's been done, but now it's as time has been going by and decades, and now we're seeing different moves, because back in like the 80s and 90s you saw the leg drops and the elbow drops. Now you're seeing all these flippy things and all this crazy stuff. So I feel like wrestling's evolving, and it has to stay fresh. So I always love when I see something new that you really don't see. Like when I first saw Ember Moon's Eclipse, I was just like mind boggled. I was like, how do you do that? Like, kind of stuff like that. So I think that's always neat when you can find something that you really don't see often or at all. But so you asked the last one, right, Brianna?
I did.
Okay. Oh my God, because I get lost sometimes. All right. So now my question for you is, what is your favorite and least favorite thing about being a professional wrestler?
There's some noise in the background. So I think
It's okay.
okay.
Hey.
Some headphones. Okay. My least favorite or my most favorite. Okay. I met some friends, so I make some friends in wrestling, which is good. When you can have like people you can kind of be open with and kind of they can understand and relate to like your struggle or what you're going through. So that's something I really like about the wrestling business. Something I don't like is like there's like not a manual that when you sign up to be a pro wrestler that's going to be like, okay, you won't see your family as much. You might get injured and possibly never be able to live your dream, or it's just so many sacrifices and so much patience that it takes that no one really tells you of like the first day of training. Like you need to have patience. So it's just a lifelong journey, I think, to be a pro wrestler. It's not really it's not as easy as you think, oh, once you have a dream, but it's not going to be like an easy ride to the top.
That's a good point. So sometimes, with wrestling, there's definitely, the tomorrow is really not granted in terms of, where you can go to pursue your dreams, and, especially, given the climax of the world today. I mean, yeah, it sucks that there's no manual of like, if A happens, you can do B. Because, it always leaves room for you to, I guess the good side of that is that, you can continue to see that you have good judgment, and whatever choices that you make, hopefully your fans will support you no matter what. And you can always say that you tried to live out your dreams, and you got where you wanted to be, or maybe you didn't, but you tried. And that really applies for a lot of different things, but I'm sure with wrestling it's definitely true.
Yeah, wrestling scene is definitely a lot more challenging than what people think it is, because unlike, like if you were trying to be like a football player, baseball player, you're on a team and the team travels together, you have transportation for you. Wrestling, you're an independent contractor, you have to make your own travels, and a lot of, promotions may or may not pay for your travel expenses, so you have to, kind of do that on your own. And life's rough. And also, if you're an independent contractor and you get hurt, you're not getting paid. If you're signed with WWE, I don't know how things work with them if you get hurt, but you still have some kind of financial income coming in. As far as independent contractors, you don't, and you have to find other way to get revenue, depending on if you have another job, because some wrestlers, that's all they do. They wrestle, and they may not have that side job or anything like that. So it's tough, and even with the training, from what I've heard, it's a lot. It's a lot on the body. It's a lot of time. I mean, like you said, you have to be really patient with it, and just after all the time I spent interviewing all you wrestlers and stuff like that, I've really learned a lot about the wrestling business, and I've grown to have a much higher appreciation for it. Because if you're just your regular fan watching WWE Impact on TV, you're not going to really know all these things. You're just going to think that, oh, it's like football. You just somehow you get into it. You don't realize how hard and tough it is, and it's a lot tougher than trying to be a football player or basketball or whatever like that. It's,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? The training isn't as common as other sports and stuff like that out there. You know, if you're lucky enough to have a wrestling school in your city, then you're good. But if not, then, you know, you have to travel. You know, once again, like I know I mentioned Ember Moon a few times, but she apparently had to travel like 6 hours to go train with Booker T or something like that. So the struggle is real, and, you know, I definitely appreciate everything that you all do to, you know, entertain us and, you know, all that.
Yeah. I would probably say my last question would be, you know, what is your dream match? Like, if you could have any match, any pay-per-view or on TV, what would it be, and who would you like to have that match against?
Oh my goodness, so many options. I
I know it's a
definitely
lot.
would want to. Not. I would like to have a ladder match. That's a dream match of mine, to work in a ladder match. Now, this may be far fetched, but my dream opponents would probably be like an intergender type match.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, my dream opponents would be like a Jonathan Gresham, Seth Rollins, Daniel Bryan. Those are like my dream opponents.
Wow.
Yeah.
JT, what do you think about the ladder match against Seth Rollins?
Oh, that would be fun. Just don't make it an eye for an eye match, because we've seen what he could do in those types of matches. Yeah, but yeah, like, I think that would be really fun. I wish WWE did more intergender matches, but I mean, if you had a ladder match versus Seth Rollins, I'm sure that match would be the bomb.
I would watch it.
Yeah, I would watch it too. I would pay the old school $50 pay-per-view fees to watch that.
Yeah, that's a pay-per-view match. Like, no lie. That 100%.
Thanks.
So, your final question is kind of similar to my final question in a way. So my last question for you would be, when it's all said and done, what's your end game with wrestling? Like, what do you want to accomplish and where you want to be at?
Wow. I guess, like, being in the business for so long, like, it has definitely changed from, like, my motives and my why from years ago. Like, now at this point, I kind of want to help the next generation, I guess, and kind of, you know, if people can see me being successful, and if it inspires somebody else, I guess that, you know, I achieve something. Like, if I help inspire somebody else, because, like, it does take, for me, I'm a person of faith, and for me to, you know, keep going on my journey and not give up, if that inspires somebody else, I guess that is, you know, a big goal of mine, to help inspire the next generation.
You definitely could, like, do like training. That would definitely be like something that could encompass that goal.
Yeah.
And you think, like,
Yeah, when it comes to, like, stuff like that, you don't necessarily have to, like, be a trainer. Just kind of, like, working with the younger talent in the ring and just kind of teaching them things here and there, just stuff like that. Like, and I like that too about you, because, like, you're not being selfish. It's not like one of those me thing until the day I end my career. Like, you know, I'm gonna throw him under the bus, but Hulk Hogan was very much like that. Like, he was 50 years old and he couldn't even put over a young upcoming Randy Orton. So it's like, I like when wrestlers have that mentality that they want to give back to the next generation, because,
me too.
you know, it's not about any one person. It's about the business, and it's about, you know, growing the business and growing other people too. I mean, you can succeed and still have a place in the business even after you're done. You know, like Brianna mentioned, you could be a trainer, you know, or you could work for another promotion, backstage stuff, you know, commentary. There's like a million other things, and I like the whole, like, giving back part, and that's a really nice thing that you kind of mindset you have.
Right. But also, it's more so as far as, like when I was a kid, the first wrestler I saw, Shawn Michaels. And so, like, watching him inspired me to be a wrestler. And he doesn't even know me, but, like, he inspired me to be a wrestler and to have my dream. So maybe, like, somebody sees me being successful, they see me like, oh my goodness, she went through that, and she's from this, and she's not really from a prestigious, such and such, but she's, successful. And that might inspire somebody else. Because I'm from New Orleans, and so you don't really see that many, successful people from New Orleans. Like there's Jazz, there's, Ricky Starks. But to see me also trying to do something that might help somebody from a small town or something like that.
Yeah, it only really takes like that one big person to really be like, hey, you can do this, and that can send someone over the moon for like years. Like, I can do this because this person told me I could.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely good, like having someone like you, like because people could say, oh, well, she's from New Orleans. I'm from New Orleans. I can make it big too. I could be on AEW. I could be doing this. I could be doing that. So it's always that, kind of like that feeling of hope, that this isn't, I don't have to be stuck here. I can go out there and venture off and do other things with my life. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yes.
Well, Brianna, I think that wraps up our questions for Raché. It was really fun, though.
It was a very good conversation, as our podcasts normally are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always neat hearing like everyone's story because we get asked the same question to every single wrestler, but we always get a different answer. So I think that's always fun learning more and just kind of hearing your story and putting everything out there. Like it's always a neat little experience for us.
And learning the lore of like everybody you see on TV. It's very interesting.
Because like I haven't done any podcasts before, really, so like people can kind of learn more about Raché Chanel.
And now this will be the podcast that they'll see. It'll be like, this is
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was us.
It was us. O-Face.
Yes.
So, Raché Chanel, did you want to share anything with any of the listeners before we wrap up this episode? Any of your social media, any upcoming merch, or any merch that you're just trying to get out there?
Let's see. What do I have coming up? Well, I am building my YouTube channel.
Nice.
So, Miss Raché Chanel. That's my YouTube. And hopefully I can kind of build it up. And I'm working on like maybe a fictitious like YouTube series. And hopefully it'll be airing soon.
Oh, that's awesome. So we gotta subscribe. That's what that means.
Yeah, you better subscribe, Brianna, because I think I already subscribed to your YouTube. If not, I'm going to do that right after this recording, and I'll definitely promote it for you on our social media platforms.
Same.
Same. That was funny. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, Raché, on O-Face Wrestling. It was really fun. Thank you all for tuning in to today's episode. Just make sure you sub us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And thank you once more, Raché, for joining us today. And Brianna, I know you're not here every episode, but it's always fun when you're with us.
Of course. I'm always loving the podcast life.
O-Face Podcast Life, O-Face Squad. We love supporting indies. We love supporting, women's wrestling in general. And, got some big plans coming up for the beginning of 2021. So make sure you all stay tuned for all that. Thank you all for tuning in.